Hey everyone, I'm Yvette Lloyd, host of Life Her Podcast. Thank you for being on tonight. I really appreciate y'all. Make sure you subscribe me on YouTube and all the other major platforms to listen to previous podcasts. Tonight we have a mental health professional with us, and our mental health is so important. So I'm really excited about this conversation. It can help you to enhance anything that you're working on or gain an understanding of things that you never really thought into perspective. And I want to welcome you, Natalie Alexander. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing well, and thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
I really appreciate you being on my show and even just taking time out to even just enlighten people on mental health in depth a lot more. And I'm excited about this conversation.
Yay.
Yes. So, first and foremost, I want to get to know you. So tell me, how did you even become a mental health specialist? Was it something that impacted you in your personal life for you to take it to the next level?
I want to say that it kind of happened naturally. I've always been the person who my friends would go to with their problems. And it seemed that I always had the right answer. Like, thanks so much, Nat. Like, yes, that was what I needed to hear. And I'm talking like ever since high school. And I also would think about problems and I would try to figure it out, like, why the whys of what people do. And I was having a conversation with my OBGYN after my second child. Um, and she was asking me, she's a Black woman, she's an entrepreneur, and she was asking me, like, do you want to do dentistry for the rest of your life? I was a dental hygienist assistant at the time. I was like, no, it's just really boring. She's like, what do you see yourself doing? And I was like, well, random people always come to me with their problems, and I think I would really love that. She was like, go for it. Go to school, go back to school, get your master's. And that's pretty much what I did. And then it just went from there.
Wow, that's amazing because dealing with mental health and actually helping others, it's a lot that it will impact onto you too. So you got to make sure that you're all the way together as well in between. What are some of the things that you do to make sure that you are always taking care of yourself just as much as you helping others?
The technique or the strategy that I use first and foremost in my therapy is that we pack things back up before they leave my office. So we bring things to a resolve where people are not just raw and open in it. And it helps me know that they're okay until the next time. And then for me, I breathe, I do deep breathing, I dance, I go to African dance classes or a nice heels class to to release the energy and all the things and just start fresh.
That is amazing. I'm happy that you do that for yourself. Do you ever find yourself implementing mental health within you being in a relationship with someone as well?
Absolutely. I am committed to practicing what I preach. Now, it doesn't mean that I've got it all together because I'm human and I've been through some things and I'm healing my own childhood and things like that. So I do practice all the things that I preach.
Okay, that is amazing. So, my next question, it may be a little debate, but I want to basically talk about how Black women in today's society communicates to Black men and about Black men.
Okay, so how deep do you want to take this?
I'm
Because
all the way.
okay,
All the way. Just be uncut, raw, blunt about it because it needs to be said.
so there are layers to this. A lot of what we hear from Black women has to do with the absence of the father in the home. And when the father is not home, then the mom and whoever else in the family has to pick up the slack. But what I'm seeing is there's no room for women to be human, to be soft, to be emotional. Okay. Suck it up, get it done, strong Black woman, all of that. But then she'll meet a man who has been raised by his mother only and doesn't have a masculine figure or a father figure to know how to step up, how to lead, how to do all the things. But because he's accustomed to a woman leading, the strong woman, he will be attracted to her. And because he's so soft and she's hard, she'll be attracted to him, right? And so, but after a while, that it stops working and she starts losing respect for him, and then it just becomes disrespectful, and then of course he starts feeling disrespected, and then he shuts down and she shuts down, and it's just a whole, it's just a wall that they encounter. I hope I answered your question, but it
Yes.
really stems from the lack of the male or the masculine energy figure in these relationship dynamics that we have to restore and we have to turn around. Why these women are so disrespectful and dismissive of the men in their lives. It's really something else. Along with the dynamic of codependency. Are you familiar with codependency?
In between. In between.
So, codependency is a name that's given to describe a relationship in which neither of the people in the relationship are independent. Like they don't have their independent feelings, they depend on the other to feel comfortable, or they put the other person's views and thoughts and feelings in above their own. And that after a while, that's a dysfunctional relationship dynamic. And after a while, if not addressed, becomes pretty toxic. And I believe, and the root of it is being neglected as a child, being emotionally neglected as a child. Naturally, we know in the Black community, historically speaking, parents didn't have space to be emotionally available and listen to their child. Why? Because our parents were working, thinking about keeping a roof over our heads and paying the bills and all the things. There was really no time to relax and do that. So a lot of the people in our community are codependent, and we find love and connection in the approval and the praise of other people. It's really deep, but you follow?
Yes, I follow.
Gotcha.
It's a lot of lack in communication, I could say,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of people don't express themselves with communication. They may express it out of anger or them holding it in,
Mm-hmm.
shutting down
Mm-hmm.
and not communicating at all, or it could be a runner. Like some people will run away
Mm-hmm.
from their feelings or even telling the person how they feel, and they go on to a next relationship or never talking to them again.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's such a like a huge bundle when it comes to as far as like communicating, and a lot of times we have like different things as far as how women raise men differently.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the things on how mother pampers them and let them get away with everything. And then you have your mom hard on your daughters and they can't get away with nothing. So it
Yeah.
causes trauma literally like on both ends.
Yes, 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 yes. And that communication piece made me think about how African American community does not allow for a person to have an attitude. And so our emotions become the enemy. So when you talk about run away from the emotion or suppress them, because we learn that if I have an attitude or if I'm upset about something, that it's being termed disrespectful or I get punished for it or
Mhm.
yelled at for it. When no, it's a feeling. We're human. Feel it, manage it, and put words to it. But it does not need to be punished because that's what causes the problems when we get older and in relationships and try to make it work.
Yes. And it's like expressing yourself, it will create you. No, not even create you. It has people thinking that you're an emotional person.
And so my question would be, what's wrong with being an emotional person? Like, what's wrong with
Exactly.
where's the problem?
Exactly. And that's where a lot of people not really understanding the difference between that,
Mm-hmm.
because when you're upset, if you want to express yourself, of course it's an emotion on how you feel, but it really depends on how you control it too.
Yes, yes. Which is why I say a lot of times to my couples, how do you feel? Like, what's the one word that you can use to describe what's happening? And a lot of times, the first couple times that I ask, the couple will say, well, I feel like he wants me to blah blah blah, or I feel like she is always, but that's not a feeling. A feeling is I
A
feel
thought.
disrespected.
So do
Right.
you consider it as a thought?
Pardon me?
So would you consider that as a thought?
It's definitely a thought.
Okay.
Like I redirect and I ask for feeling words. And a lot of times I will guide them. So I feel disrespected, or I feel unheard, or I feel misunderstood, or I feel insecure. That resonates with what's happening in your body and in the relationship versus diagnosing, blaming, projecting. Like, no, those are not feelings. Because once you say, I feel disrespected, then all right, I didn't mean to disrespect you. We can talk about the issue right then and there because I didn't mean to disrespect you. I meant to just communicate XYZ. Oh, that's what you meant? Yeah. Oh, okay, blah, blah, blah. Then that's it.
Yes.
We have mitigated the argument. We can move on to the next thing and we're good.
Yes, and that communication, it creates a healthy relationship also, especially when you understand a person of their expressions. So
Yes.
you could be explaining something to someone and they think you're being argumentative, gaslighting, narcissist, all
Mm,
those new words that they have.
right.
However, it's a form of you actually knowing a person and who they are and how they express themselves when
Right.
they get under, feel like they under pressure or something. But some
Mhm.
people talk with their hands
Right.
like this and they be like, why are you talking like that, or some people get highly offended and upset because of you saying something that there are and there aren't really that person.
Mm-hmm.
So that creates another form of aggression and how a person can't intake, and they become guarded because maybe they heard that all their life, and maybe it was more of people attacking them instead of actually communicating with them to get to the root of it.
To get to the root of it. And it's not easy, but the way to health and well-being is really about communication, like what you're saying, and really just saying what it is, putting your finger on that word and using it to identify and to show what really is going on.
Yes. So as far as communication when it comes between a male and a female, um how would you describe like how today's society is very sexual, right?
Mm.
So say for instance a woman meeting a man and they end up having sexual intercourse. However, the two parties get upset, maybe the woman end up getting pregnant. However, they forgot the communication part within a relationship beforehand, and then they like, oops, okay, we need to talk about this now. So that's like one of another habit that a lot of people have within relationships, because they always had a sexual relationship, but they never had a relationship where they communicate and got to know each other.
Hmm. Yeah, that seems to be very common. Um, and when that happens, it takes more work to pull out the communication because sexual bonds are very deep and they can be really strong. Um, it doesn't mean that a relationship ends or anything like that, but it just means there's more work. It's easier when we talk first and we have our expectations on the front end and we talk about, well, what if I get pregnant? Or are you going to stick around? Do you want to be a father? And all the things on the front end. And here's the other part, Yvette. A lot of us haven't thought about our answers to those kinds of questions, which is,
Right.
I think, the reason why we don't have those kinds of conversations on the front end. Because all we know is that, oh, I just want to get some and it's going to feel good and I'm going to blah, blah, blah. But we have to be able to start in our communities answering and asking questions and teaching women to know the answers to these questions and our men to know the answers. What's your 5-year plan? What's your 3-year plan? What's your relationship with your mother like? And I told somebody recently that if a man has an issue with his mother, run,
You ain't lying. That is so true.
run, 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 run. And I've heard guys say, I love my mom, all of this, and but call her out her name, or it's her calling, he won't answer, or anything like that. Like That's not a good thing to do, because essentially the next person that we say we love is going to get the treatment that our opposite sex parent did not get from us for whatever reason. I hope that made sense.
Yes, it does.
So we want to communicate about that. We want to find out your thoughts, your feelings, what you went through, how you've resolved it. Are you in the process of healing it? Do you understand? And have you given your parent compassion for how they treated you? And are you aware that how your parent parented you had nothing to do with you? It had all to do with their own childhood trauma and their own view and perspective on parenting as connected to their community.
Yes, that is so true because the community can do with people in the neighborhood itself or the people within the family.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people come from like you know how like the broken relationships.
Mm-hmm.
You can see your father like you saying how a young girl won't have a father in their life and they end up choosing a man. It could be similar to their father or
Mm-hmm.
even the opposite of their father.
Mm-hmm.
The same goes on with a man of how you saying how his relationship will be with his mother. He will choose a woman that he hates, like he hates his mom, and he will treat that woman just how he really be wanting to treat his mom or how he treat his mom. It's so broad on different stuff.
It's broad, but let me adjust the example that you had. Typically, it's always love in the beginning. It's always love in the honeymooning. We find a way to frame that person in the best light possible. We find a way to put that person on a pedestal because they're somebody of the opposite sex, and I love them, and I've already know that he's going to be with me and we're going to make it work. But the minute he does or says something that triggers us, that reminds us of our father, that's when the problems occur, especially if we're not able to say that reminded me of how I was treated or that triggered me. I need some time to deal. I need some time to flush that out because I know that it's not about you. It's more about how I interpreted whatever the interaction was. And the bitterness will ensue if it's not something that is addressed and discussed. If we keep trying to make it about the other person and not looking inward at our own experience.
Yes, I feel like some people have either attachment issues
Mm-hmm.
or they have a habit of soul tie issues. And when they want to jump relationship to relationship instead of healing themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people deal with that too when not knowing the different spiritual connections they are connecting with
Mm-hmm.
during that, and they're not finding a period of time to actually heal in between relationships because they're so used to being in one. So they
Mm-hmm.
keep being in relationships over and over again.
Right. And so people like that typically have only one kind of relationship. It's usually not deep and elevating and inspiring. It's usually just whatever. They honeymoon, it feels good. As soon as it stops feeling good, they're out. Because being in that space where it's uncomfortable or I have to face something, it doesn't feel good. It takes work and conversation and tears and um, a lot of people just until they've had enough, until they've lost the relationship that meant the most to them, typically that's when, they reach out for help. And that's part of being human. So,
Yeah, I know, right?
yeah.
So, what is the first steps towards life and healing? Because a lot of people really don't take time out for themselves and actually heal and work on them. And this not even just being in a relationship, it's just you just really focus on you for once. Because sometimes we find ourselves doing everything for everybody else but ourselves.
The first step towards life and healing is reaching out, well, accepting and realizing and being aware that there is a problem, and then reaching out to somebody that can help you, ideally a professional, a therapist, ideally that can help you explore those things that need healing. First steps: call a therapist, realize that there's an issue. You may not have the words for it or the memory for it, but there's something going on. And typically by the first session, everybody knows. They'll usually start with, their childhood. If somebody says, I don't know, we talk about the childhood and things get unearthed, and we just start towards healing.
So, say for instance, someone has a broken relationship with a parent
Hmm.
and they haven't spoken to a parent for years, or they want to like rekindle a relationship.
Hmm.
Would you find them, should they just forgive that person actually verbally and actually trying to meet up with them and for forgiveness, or you think they should try to work on forgiving them and moving forward without even speaking to that person again?
It definitely depends on the parents, and I have several examples. Like one client is what you described. I hadn't talked to her father in maybe months or just under a year. She's super mad at him, and her relationship with her partner was suffering because every time her partner reminded her of her father, it would just go left, and it would be extreme and dramatic and explosive. And so we talked about her awareness of her father's love for her. Does he care about you? Yeah, he cares about me, but I'm just mad at him. He's not talking to me. I'm not talking to him. I said, well, let's write him a letter. And so she wrote him a letter. We wrote it in session and she mailed it to him. And when he received it, I want to say he wrote her back and they met and they're happily ever after. So there's that. But then you have the parent where, they're in their feelings, they're proud, they don't want to hear that, they have hurt their child. We don't approach that parent. We just seek to develop compassion for that parent. And we do write a letter, but not for the purposes of sending. We just write it for the purposes of releasing and work towards having compassion for the parent and then forgiveness if it comes up. That's not really an active work that I do because sometimes people get so hung up on the pressure of feeling like I have to forgive somebody that I don't like and has hurt me so much.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, what are your thoughts about the state of the relationship as far as in the Black communities? Because I see a lot of brokenness more than togetherness.
I agree. I see the same thing. I believe that we have been mistaught. The Black women in the community have been mistaught. Something along the lines of what the late Kevin Samuels used to talk about. I said along the lines because his approach was pretty aggressive sometimes.
Right.
Um, but being a strong Black woman is not what our men are asking for, and we don't listen to him. And if we would just listen, we would be more successful. If we just listen to his words and take his words at face value, then we would be more successful in our relationships versus listening from the place of our own pain and from the place of our own achievements and expectations. We get nowhere. And I believe that those are some of the elements that's causing the relationships in the Black community to be as erosive as they are.
Yeah, because it's like really strong. You don't really see anything being actual like traditional within a
Mhm.
relationship. I think people miss the concept of love.
Mm.
I really don't see love no more and people actually embracing it. So it's like sometimes it's like love is like now more than awe. It's just it's awkward.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned love because love goes so much deeper than oh,
Yeah,
and we see the oh on social medias, but the
yes.
depth of love is something that I've been really meditating on recently. Where there was a couple on the podcast, I think it was Dear Wifey, I think that podcast where the wife was saying to the husband, she would ask him, "Why do you love me?" or "Do you love me?" And he would say something along the lines of, "I choose to." Where love has a component of oh, but the stronger component of love is the choice. The choice to, when you guys get on each other's nerves, to just look past it and still be and still show up authentically and um, um, show up in a positive regard for your partner, with positive intentions for your partner, where you choose to believe that your partner is here with you because they want to be, and they want to inspire you, and they want to be a good element and influence in your life. All of that is love. And love involves sacrifice, right? I'm going to, mothers show sacrificial love all the time. We sacrifice our sleep, sometimes our food, sometimes our body for our babies, right? But for our partners, sometimes we just let go of the need to be right and just follow the lead. Sometimes we sacrifice the need to buy myself something in a season where things are tight and not be upset about it, because there will be another season of financial abundance, just not right now. All of that is part of love, and it's part of the choice to show up and be in connection with your partner.
So a lot of people feel like, you have a woman like as a housewife
Mhm,
or a woman that works hard. A lot of women are dominating things right now. They
mhm,
are the breadwinners.
mhm.
So how can you have women have help with communicating with men when they are the breadwinner and they making a man feel less of himself because he isn't the breadwinner?
I, you starting to trying to start a fight here on the social media. Is that what we're doing here, Yvette? Really?
It's just what's going on. Being a breadwinner is cool, but sometimes when women have that upper hand, as they feel as though they have,
Mhm,
they forget that a man is still a man regardless. And they want to take over the relationship and have that manly demeanor. And, you
exactly.
know, I make more money than you, but it's like, he's still a man. Like,
Exactly.
you know,
Exactly. Exactly.
you still have morals. You still have a place within this relationship, in this
Yeah.
household. As
Mhm,
a man, I feel like a lot of times some women unconsciously do it, and some
mhm,
women actually know what they're doing, and
mhm,
they will make a man feel less than himself
mhm,
just
mhm.
because of that.
So kudos to the boss women out here. Kudos to the women that are in relationships and you're making more money than your partner. Yay. And then that's it. Because that's great. You're contributing to the household, but by no means do I encourage these women to substitute what they make for who they are. You're still a woman, you're still beautiful, you're still awesome, you're still boss, all the things, but you make more money because of what you do outside of the home. And the best thing that such a woman could ever do for herself and her relationship is come back in the house and be in the relationship and treat her man like he is a man, and like he has a valuable space in the home and in her life, that he doesn't become like she doesn't see him as subordinate, and that she doesn't treat him as a subordinate because she doesn't give him paychecks, like he doesn't work for her. And to listen to him as a whole human being with feelings and with thoughts and with contributions. Once again, what she brings is a great asset to the household, and that's it. It is
Right.
not an identifier,
That is so true.
because you weren't born with it. You didn't come, and even if you were, you work outside of the house for it. You leave for to make that money. You come back home. That's nice. Thank you, babe. Thank you. And I'm sure he's appreciative of it. But the best thing such a woman, another best thing that she could do for her man is inspire him to be great, inspire him to fulfill his passion and his purpose in life so that both of them can be great. They go outside of the house, do their thing, make all the money, and come back in the house and be human and be loving and be interactive with the other person. That's it.
That's true. That is true. Sometimes I feel like people get beside themselves and they actually see what's going on the outside
Mhm.
of their home instead of creating their own world, their own
Yes.
equally yoked unity, because every household is different, and it doesn't mean that it's working for someone else. It still doesn't mean it's going to work for you and
Right.
your household. So a lot of people lose their focus within looking on social media and hearing different podcasts on how people go about their relationships, but it still doesn't mean that's for you and your other half. And
Exactly.
Yes. So that's when the communication comes in, when you have to communicate with your partner and actually get to know them internally and actually see where they're coming from, because that's where the lack of communication come in, when people is really not communicating with each other and actually getting to know their partner to really understand their perspective and their morals and what they like and don't like. And
Mm-hmm.
it's okay to do that. And that's what creates a strong bond between the two of you, only that you two are the only ones that understand that.
Right, right. And a lot of that also requires good decision making and the support of your community, the support of people, men and women that could look out for us in our relationships and say, all right, he's a good guy. All right, she's a keeper. All right, I'm kind of concerned about how he raised his voice, or like, she looked like, didn't I see her at the club or whatever? Like, we'll ride with you, bro. But, that kind of feedback, that we are able to trust the people in our community and that they have our best interest in mind.
Yes. And you know, a lot of times when people need to embrace the love that they have for one another too,
Mhm,
and court each other.
mhm. Oh, court. Wow.
Yes, court and like date still, to keep the spark and the flame there, so that you still meeting the needs of both and
Mhm,
creating y'all's own form of happiness too.
mhm, mhm. Courting has been a lost art, and I think courting was definitely applicable when the community was more intact, when the elders were more respected, and where the children were children and being taken care of by the elders in the community.
Yes, that is so true. It really is.
Mhm.
So what do you say to the people that want to stay single and not actually be in a relationship?
I say the best thing that you could do for you is take care of you and live your best life. Know what your best life looks like for you, and that staying single might be something you want to do now or for the rest of your life, and it's totally, you have agency, and it's all good. Just take care of you, learn to love you, and then connect to your purpose, connect to your passion, and live your best life.
Yeah, because I have a lot of single friends and they said the dating scene is really ghetto right now.
I had somebody tell me that somebody peed in the dating pool. Like, yeah.
Oh my god, that's terrible. And
Yeah.
it's another thing too. It's kind of, it's really sad, but I've been seeing a lot of stories on women being killed by men too.
Mm, what?
Yes, I've been seeing a lot of those stories when they're killing a woman when she wants to move on with her life, or they have run-ins over the years of having domestic disputes over
Mm,
the years. And what advice do you have for women that is having a hard time to move forward and get out of a relationship like that? And especially, I really advocate on women needing to report these things and letting someone know
mhm,
is going on, because sometimes people don't even know what's happening
mhm,
behind closed doors of these relationships that we see that is happy on
mhm.
social media, but it's a lot of things that happen behind closed doors when they have unhealthy abusive relationships, and then next thing you know, one of them end up being dead.
That is tragic. It's important for us as a community to allow people to be who they are, because that's when we see who people really are. And then to allow the battered woman to know that she is supported. Because a lot of times situations like that can happen when community members, the elders, like, no, he's no good. If you date him, I will have nothing to do with you. So then, like, I'm gonna go. So then, but then she finds herself in trouble. But the elders said they didn't want nothing to do with me, so now I have nowhere to go. We never want to cut people off just because they made a choice that we did not approve of. we have to be able to communicate to our women that even though you make a decision contrary to what we advise, we will be here to support you. We will be here to fight for you and strategically help you out of a situation. More times than not, she will look for help sooner than later, where it ends badly. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and hopefully that she do. And I would like to say for myself, if any woman is watching and you are going through a dispute and have an unhealthy relationship, figure out ways to start loving on yourself more and for you to actually exit from something like that. I lost a friend from the situation
So
like that,
sorry.
and it's you know, it's difficult even just witnessing it and trying to help them get out of
Hmm.
those
Hmm.
situations too, because you
Hmm.
know sometimes you have people that's like, okay, if you leave me, I'm gonna kill you, you know.
Hmm.
So a lot of that is like extremely difficult too, to
Hmm.
even still support them. And then sometimes people get emotionally drained and tired of it too
Yeah.
when they
Yeah.
not leaving that partner, but sticking around and actually being there for them, it can be emotionally draining for you. But that's when a lot of praying comes in too.
And I need to say strategy, because sometimes the community has to go in and rescue and be strategic with it.
Yeah.
And strategic and private and really, really quiet and stealth with it. Sometimes, make arrangements to leave the state or leave the county and, start new somewhere else. And only when she is ready to do it, because if she's not ready, she'll turn around and go right back. And really helping her build her community, her support system, and her sense of self. But I would say that it also starts with therapy, like an objective, powerful person with authority who has connections to other people in the community that can help um, you know, execute the plan of the exit strategy. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, indeed. So, how does a community play a part in committed relationships?
Basically, along the lines of what I was saying before, right? Where the community can be the sounding board, they can be the approval or the disapproval, thumbs up, thumbs down, and the people get a chance, the people in the relationship get a chance to see where she comes from. Like, okay, these are her people, I could rock with these people. Or this is his family, they're kind of weird, but I have weird people in my family. So it's kind of a way to get to know who the person is, get to know who their support systems are. Also, the community is also a strong source of accountability, where men realize that they can't get away with the shenanigans that they used to get away with, because her uncle is probably going to yoke me up, or they're going to look at me sideways, that kind of thing, where there's a level of accountability involved in the relationship, which is also very important.
Wow. So can you talk about the different relationships of the community that you do help, as far as helping them on a daily basis, as far as when it comes to mental health?
So, parents, couples, right? Parents to children, siblings, individual, relationship with oneself. Yes, I also have uh, served, the homosexual community as well, and just relationships in general, everybody.
Wow, that is amazing that you have a heart for this.
Thank you.
I know we talked before that, but it's really amazing that you find it within you to continue to help people when it comes to mental health, because it's needed so bad. Like,
Hmm.
it's just the world is just turning into so many different things right now, to a point that every angle somebody needs some form of help.
Yes, thank you. I definitely believe that it's a gift, a divine gift that I have been given, and I'm grateful for it. And I'm committed to using my gift for the healing of the people.
So, how can someone get in contact with you for your professional help?
If you are in Atlanta or Alabama, you can call me at 678-208-3425, or email me at thehealinggracecounseling@gmail.com, or the Butterfly Institute 23 at gmail.com.
That is amazing. So, What is some advice do you have for someone that is in the process of seeking help? Because, a lot of times in the Black community, we will say we're going to get professional help, but we really don't have the ability to actually do the first step, and that's actually calling to make an appointment.
Yes.
So, what is a way for you to stop to help them from that fear? Because a lot of times, we have that stigma. I don't want nobody in my business.
Ooh, the I don't want nobody in my business, or the I'm not crazy, I don't need therapy narrative.
Oh, that part too.
Yeah. I would say take your time, and go on Psychology Today. They ask on Psychology Today, they ask for your zip code, and just punch in your zip code. You'll see a list of therapists that are in your area. There's also the website Therapy for Black Women. There's also Therapy for Black Men, and you can read their profiles and see which one resonates with you. The good news is, if you happen to walk into a therapist's office and you're just not vibing, it's not working, or they say something that hits you the wrong way, you don't have to stay with them. You can find somebody else, and until it fits, right? Because there's a thing called the therapeutic alliance, and it's a relationship, it's a connection, it's a flow that where both of you feel comfortable, and that that the room is a safe space to be and to feel and to speak the way you need to speak in order for healing. I need
Mhm.
to say that it's also a spiritual place, where the experience is beyond the facts. It's There's a spiritual component in it also that ministers to the inner parts of you that you didn't know even existed, but that it brings a whole healing, a wholesome healing to the space, to the person.
Yeah, I agree with you with that because even during the things that I personally went through,
Hmm.
um, I would say getting mental health help has helped me a
Good.
lot. Like, I mean, tremendously, because I have like different ways and acts of PTSD really bad.
Mm-hmm.
So when dealing with that, going to therapy and getting the proper help that I need, it
Hmm.
actually helped me. And it takes time.
Hmm.
It takes a lot of
It
time.
does. It does.
Yeah, like from one of my PTSD feelings, it took me about 2 years
Hmm. Hmm.
to actually just feel comfortable with it. But
Hmm.
it's just the fact of people being uncomfortable, that means you're going in the right path,
Hmm.
because when you feel uncomfortable with something, it means you need help in that area for you to get comfortable with something that's new and creating you to be a better version of yourself.
Yes, 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 yes. And discomfort is a necessary part of anything in life, really. Things are new, things are different, and it takes adjusting. But it doesn't have to be uncomfortable for the duration of the process. There are comfortable parts of the process, but there are going to be, like I said, discomfort, and it's all good. It's like when you're building muscles, right?
Yes, definitely. What is some encouraging words for someone to actually just continue on a day-to-day basis of working on becoming a better version of themselves?
I want to say that I'm proud of you. Keep doing the work. You're doing good work. The mere fact that you're choosing to be healthy is great work. Being honest with yourself, and just looking for the positive things in life. Keep going, keep going, keep going.
Yes, keep going, y'all. Well, thank you so much, Natalie. I really appreciate you for being on Life Her podcast tonight and sharing such great informative information for my listeners. I took a lot of your advice myself, and I
Good,
hope
good.
everyone else you guys took advice from her as well.
Yes. Thank you so much once again. It was a privilege, and I'm so happy that we got a chance to have this conversation.
Yes, I'm excited too. So everyone, please tune in. I have two more podcasts tonight at 8 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. And you can watch it live here on Facebook and YouTube. And also don't forget to subscribe and see y'all later. Good night.
Bye.